everybody, and welcome into another video here on the channel where today we're doing something that just has to be done every now and again, and I know that some of you will have already seen it, but today we are tier listing every set that I have done over the last 4 years. And one, this is just because we haven't done this since like wave 3, so there's a load of new sets. 2, to kind of get you excited about the stuff that's coming up, I'm going to actually be tier listing, although not with pictures, all the ones that you haven't seen so far. And 3, just so that if we've got new people coming in, hello and welcome. And every single one of these 80 plus Lego Zelda custom sets has their own video here on the channel, so check them out. And just so that you are aware as well, Castle and new customs are coming as well next week and the week after as well. So things are heating up for sure. But come with me as we journey back through time and see some of our favorites. And of course, let me know if you disagree with any of the placements down below. But without any further ado, let's get started. Let's going to start with where it all began. That is, of course, Z001. This is the Fire Sanctuary. This is a Wave 1 set, the flagship of Wave 1, meaning it is the biggest one here. And probably coolly, this one is still got a really soft spot for me. Now, obviously, this is a dungeon builder system set, meaning that it is designed to be rearrangeable and combinable with other sets to make a dungeon layout. It's based on the Fire Sanctuary from Skyward Sword. Has a couple of cool figures, and nostalgia would be tempting to put it in the absolute top for me. However, I'm gonna take your guys' opinion on this one. I'll probably go and put it in. I love it the way it is, which is our second highest tier for today. Because we've got to remember about when ranking my own custom sets is that, of course, I do enjoy them all. I all chose them as ideas, and I all believe they have some sort of merit. Meaning, in a sense, we're picking, and this is why I chose to do this instead of a ranking, is so that I didn't have to pick an absolute favorite. So I'm still tempted to know how biased I want to go with this. However, I'm thinking that although I do love the way the Fire Sanctuary is, I think it has its own flaws. So we're going to put it in I love it the way it is, purely out of nostalgia. Next up, of course, would be Z002. This is the CMF Series 1, which included 16 figures at launch, all from across the Zelda franchise, and all figures that I didn't think would appear in sets that I design. Again, I really like this collection. I think it's a really strong lineup of figures. Obviously, the art has not aged particularly well, but again, I think this is another one for I love it the way it is, just because it was so impactful early on, and also it is a really strong lineup of characters. One that's definitely not so strong is potentially the most infamous one here on the channel, and that is, of course, Z003, the Water Temple. Now, this was a cancelled set that I was supposed to release way back in the day. It is now our 1000 sub reward, and the thing about this set is that it was very problematic in development, and this is definitely an easy fit into needs a remaster because, well, it does. It absolutely does need to be remastered, and that will come soon enough on the channel. But it was an unfortunate position for that set to be in, really problematic very early on. Next up was Z004. This is another fan favorite. This is Great Sea Adventure from the Wind Waker. This one includes a lot of different elements, including like warships, King Red Lions, and then of course the big function was the Octo that you could actually shoot the eye in. This one really well sums up like the £70 playset range from Lego very specifically, and this is a very easy fit into literal firstborn child. It's one of the best custom sets ever released, even if it hasn't aged amazingly over the 4 years. I've definitely grown a lot as a builder. I still really appreciate all the elements, all the functions here, and it is the only custom set to almost in its entirety be in my collection, where I have everything apart from the island now. Easy pick for literal firstborn child. I think it was literally #1 last time we did one of these rankings over 2 years ago, but hopefully that's going to change today, because it would be a little sad if I peaked that early on set number 4. Number 5 is the Wing Ceremony though from Skyward Sword. This one is also great. I really like the concept here. It's a little small, and while I appreciate sort of like the Zelda vehicle pack kind of take, I'm going to put it in still great for now. Maybe we can change that later, but I do love having the Groose the Skyward Sword link, and I do think it's an iconic enough part of the series that it absolutely does deserve to be in a set. Not so much with this next one. This is Z006. This is the Castletown People Pack from Twilight Princess. This one was basically an excuse to get a load of Hylians in a sense and sort of build out the thematics of the world. So it comes with a couple of market stalls, the circus tent. Obviously, being based off Twilight Princess, you get the Resistance members, Charlo the Charlatan, as well as the Stark Circus Man, Agatha, Mallow, and all these other characters. I still appreciate the concept. I think it is sort of good, but 13 unique minifigures is incredibly unlikely, and the builds are fine. So this one is going to end up in the flaws are showing, but the concept is sound, because I think with a little bit of a rework, it could potentially be something greater. But unfortunately, I will not be giving it that treatment, as it's not quite bad enough to need a remaster, and it did achieve my original vision for the set, but I don't think it particularly stands up as far as other LEGO sets go. Next up, we had Z007. This is the Bokoblin Battle Pack. Of course, this is taking the Star Wars Battle Pack trend and turning it on the Zelda head so that you can build your army of Bokoblins. They come with a couple of encampment bits from Breath of the Wild, of course, the Watchtower, the Turkey on a Spit, as well as the little fortress. And I really like how this one turned out. I think it's pretty much exactly the brief that I set out to do. It is definitely amassable. Not quite as amassable as some of the others, but I'm going to put it in. I love it the way it is, because I would not change a thing about it. Next up though, we have Z008. This is Wolf Link Attack based off Twilight Princess. This is just a small £10 set, so of course its horizons and goals aren't quite as big as maybe another one. It comes with a Wolf Link character, which is the only time he's appeared in the CSS, alongside a Boko Archer, and this one is going to end up in still great for me. There's a lot here to like, although it is a small set, and its ambitions don't particularly soar high. However, that being said, £10 sets to £15 sets, £20 sets are still very important, and definitely can achieve higher statuses today. However, it has to, of course, meet my criteria for that. In fact, another great example of that is actually the one that's up next. This is Z009. This is the Master Sword pedestal from Wave 1. This was a gift with purchase set with the launch of the wave, encouraging you to buy sets at launch. Comes with the Zelda praying dress, couple of Koroks, and of course the Master Sword pedestal. This one is, again, a small set, 297 pieces, recreating the scene from Breath of the Wild. And I wouldn't quite say that it's literal firstborn child material, but I would say I'd put it in. I love it the way it is as a fantastic set for CSS. You're going to notice that this graph is going to sort of curve up. There will be even less in these remastered than the I love it the way it is, for sure. Hitting double digits already, we have Z0010. This is Goma's Lair from Ocarina of Time. Now this is another dungeon expansion. Unfortunately, the Water Temple, which would have been the other one from Wave 1, did not make it through development, so the Fire Sanctuary was only joined by Goma's Lair, and it's definitely not as cool to me as the Fire Sanctuary. There is a lot here I like. I still am a big fan of the Goma build. Getting Child Link is cool, and there are a couple of nice features such as opening doors and the Deku Scrub, but again, I'm not so sure about this one, so it's going to go in still great for now, but we have plenty more sets to go through for sure. Next up, Z0011. This is the Guardian attacks based off Breath of the Wild. This one is purely just a Guardian build with a couple of figures, Breath of the Wild Champion's Tunic, as well as Tracy, the reporter from Breath of the Wild. Now, this one originally ended up in, like, I don't know, probably less than top 20 back in the day, but I've sort of, I'm not soured on it, but I don't think it stands up as well. I still think the concept's absolutely fine, but it probably would have made it into I love it the way it is, whereas now I'm probably only going to put it in still great. As it is fantastic, it just doesn't feel as fleshed out or particularly in my style compared to other things. But then again, this whole project is about simulating potential real sets, so that's all valid criticism for sure. Next up is a set that actually did have a remaster. This is Z0012. This is the Cuckoo's Nest polybag. Now you'll notice with the polybags and other cancelled sets that generally speaking they're never going to be quite as high. This one was supposed to be sort of just a way to get cuckoos. It was supposed to be cheap and simple with a wooden pen build to sort of go along the castle market, but also give you this iconic Zelda bird. It should be pretty evident that this one is going in. The flaws are showing, but the concept is sound. I did not execute this one particularly well back in the day, but I think it's gotten a little bit better with age. But that is sort of the main Wave 1 lineup. So the next couple of sets sort of bridge the gap. We're starting with Z0013. This is the Age of Calamity accessory pack based off the Age of Calamity release in 2020. This one included 4 figures, a Sheikah Warrior, Young, Pure, Robbie, and Impa, as well as Teriko. And there was an alternate building version of this pack before Age of Calamity was announced, because this was originally planned as a Sheikah Warrior pack back from Breath of the Wild, but it was changed. This one, yeah, it's an accessory pack. It's fine. I'm also going to put this one in the flaws are showing, but the concept sound, less because it's flawed and more just because I just don't think I can call it as great as some of these other sets in the middle. So something's got to be down here in the bottom tier, and it's definitely one of the more flawed sets. Next up, we have the original Advent calendar. This was at 014. This one included figures such as the Gingerbread Link, the Christmas Sweater Zelda, and the Santa Ganondorf, along with the Christmas Chew, builds of the Master Cycle Zero, the Majora's Mask Moon, extracts from Link's house, including the photo of the Champion's tunic, fireplace, a Korok puzzle, and more, of course. 24 builds in that one. That was a lot of fun back in the initial days, and I think this one's an easy, still great for me. There's a lot to love here, but nothing particularly that stands out. However, the whole concept of being an Advent calendar is really, really charming, and I really like how it was executed a lot. Although, while this one sort of feels more Zelda, I feel like the second Advent calendar was a lot more cohesive, but that was because it was a lot more niche, so take that as you will. I think they probably both end up in still great, but we'll discuss that one later when we get there. Because at the moment we are only on to 0015, this is the Monk Mask Kosher's final trial. We already know where this is going. I know you guys don't like it as much as I do, but it's definitely a top 10 custom set. I am going to put it in I love it the way it is. I absolutely love this set. I don't think it was the first one I built in real life. I don't think it's the best thing I've ever made. I think the concept is quite niche, and I don't know if Maz is popular enough to sell a set, but it would have been top 10. Maybe I'd put my top 10 up here. Let's put it in literal firstborn for now, right? It definitely is a step above the rest. Although I do love Fire Sanctuary. Maybe we should move Fire Sanctuary up as well. I mean, these two are here more so for nostalgia, but I do really love their design, or else I wouldn't be nostalgic for them. We'll leave them there for now, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll move them back down. But Z0016 is up next. This is the current biggest Lego Zelda set that I've designed. It won't be, no, it will be getting a second place edition very, very soon. There's a new set coming out that is going to be the second biggest. But anyway, this is a wall displayable model of the Hylian shield. Not the sword, because I don't think they do the sword because it's a weapon, but the shield, well, we've seen them do Captain America's shield, we've seen them do Thor's hammer, so why not the Hylian shield? So with 5,000 pieces, an exclusive goddess statue minifigure, this one is particularly nice. I really like how it sort of stands out, comes together, has a good aesthetic to it that I appreciate, but the build is kind of and I really, although I still appreciate the concept, I just think I can only put it in still great because I can't imagine it selling well or being particularly interesting. It was a very, very challenging build though, but there you go, one of my least favorites, I guess, but still in still great. Let's start on the Micro Fighters with Z0017. This is Divine Beast Var Meadow with our reviling minifigure. Now, the Divine Beasts were all turned into Micro Fighter form, very similar to what they do with Star Wars ships. I really, really like this concept. This one is actually my favorite of the four, Var Meadow. So he's going to get the honor of being in I Love It the Way It Is for the fantastic concept work on my part, but also the cool design. This is followed up by Z018, the second Wave 2 Divine Beast with Naboris. The other two wouldn't come for Wave 3. This one, I'm also going to put it in I Love It the Way It Is, although it was nearly down. The other two didn't quite come out as well, they're being still great, but I do love the concept and that sort of elevates it a lot. Next up, Z019 is Spirit Train Adventure, based off Spirit Tracks. Now, originally, when I recorded this, the Bowser Train had not been revealed, but it has now, so I can talk about it in this regard. This set sort of fills that niche, like it's this 3D, very angular train that I really, really love and I really, really think should be turned into a set. However, over the years, since I first designed it, I've become less fond of how I executed the project. Therefore, concept is sound, but personally, I think this custom set shows a lot of flaws and I think could be a lot better. So I'm going to be super harsh and put it back down at the bottom in the flaws are showing, but the concept is sound. Not quite bad enough to need a remaster. We're actually going to whiplash a little bit because next up is Z0020. This is the Lizalfos Battle Pack, and long fans of the channel will know that this is an easy contender for literal firstborn child, mostly because I really, really like the concept of the set. And over the years, I've sort of changed my mind on whether the elemental Lizalfos should have been included here, probably like trending away from having all of them and probably just moving back to, say, having the electric and the green one in here, or maybe the electric, or like just the green and the ice, or green and fire and so on. But specifically, this is here for the build because you've got these different combinable modules that all can connect to different angles and merge together. And that's very, very cool. And if you combine multiples of them, of course, they form into a bigger layout as well, which is absolutely awesome. So this is an easy pick for me. This is a literal firstborn child for sure, although definitely not the best set. I do really like how it executed, and I think it is a pretty accurate representation of a set. Next up with 21, we have the Blight Gallon Polybag. This is a 4-in-1 that you can build any of the 4 Blights if you buy 1 copy, so encouraging you to buy 4 copies. And I actually jumped on this way before we had like the 8-in-1 Polybag, although Creator 3-in-1's been doing stuff like this for ages. I really love the concept here, and it's probably, it's very tempting. It is a polybag, so it's not great, and I do think the design work could have used, but for a limited piece selection to do 4 builds that are all definitely recognizable, I am going to put it in still great because I really like how it turned out. We're going to move swiftly on again into Z0023. I have skipped one. We'll come back in just a second. This is the Ice Battle Pack, and yeah, no, this one's disgusting. There's a remaster of this already done and ready to go. You'll be seeing it very soon. So I'm not even going to talk about it. It's dysfunctional, disfocused, has no build, and it will be completely changing. So it very much needs a remaster because I already saw it needed a remaster, and I gave it a remaster. So look forward to that coming up soon. Let's jump back though to Z0022, which I skipped over. This was Ganondorf's Horseback Duel. This was originally needing a remaster. However, since we did that last video, it no longer does because I remastered it and I was able to execute on my vision, which made me very happy because I was able to turn it from the worst set that I've ever produced into at least the middle of the row. So the concept behind this is it's a little cranking machine that allows the horses to bounce up and down as if they're simulating riding across the fields, but it's actually a turn-one now, meaning you can deconstruct this mechanism box and recreate a load of other small builds from the final encounter at the end of the game. That was the original vision for the set. That was not executed at the time, but over the years, getting better at building, this has managed to elevate itself to a still great. I really can't say that I think the concept's really strong. I do think it's like the kind of thing that LEGO would play around with. However, I can't personally say I'd put it and I love it the way it is. I do love it, but then again, I love every single one of these that I've produced, including the Ice Temple, much to my disappointment. But it is how it is. It's not quite as great as some of these super iconic ones up in the green tier. I am tempted to move the Guardian and Goma up again, but we gotta have some stratification here. Let's see how it goes. Next up we have Z024. This is the Hyrule Castle Sanctum, the first of the castle expansions that you can all connect together, like the 2018 to 2020 Hogwarts system. This one, of course, based on the Sanctum from Breath of the Wild, has a couple of functions. It is really tricky to build a Sanctum these days because so many people have done it and so many people have done it well. This one had a figure selection though, and as well as the basement, which is what makes it unique. It was built on a rock wall to elevate itself, and that was partially done so that when I attached other elements to the castle, you would actually have some nice height gratification. Calamity Ganon build was cool. Features like being able to drop them through the floor as well as the throne were nice. But again, it's another one that I've been historically quite harsh to over the years, and this one will be going in the flaws are showing, but the concept is sound because I just don't like it as much as everything else. And if I was going to make a Hyrule Castle, LEGO would do better, or it would be in the top. So call it like self-inflicted punishment or whatever, but I'm putting it in orange because to me, it's just not that great. We're going to rebound immediately though, as is always the case with Z025, the Shadow Temple. This was one that I was actually dreading making back in the day. This is another dungeon expansion based off Ocarina of Time, and includes a roller coaster track to recreate the ferry, as well as a load of the deadly traps that appear down below. Dreading making this one at the time, however, I could not be happy with how it turned out. This one is a top 3 set. This was how it ranked last time, and this time again, it will be going straight into literal Firstborn Child. If you haven't seen that custom, I would highly recommend checking out. Lots of fun features, fun minifigures, and great design as far as I'm concerned that make it a real standout. We're going back to back for literal Firstborn Child now though, because Z026 is Prince Wallace Wagon Escort. This is the quintessential £30 set in my eyes. I really absolutely love how this one was designed with the 2 horses, the Bulbo, as well as the wagon which can catch fire with Wallace inside. This set was also technically expandable with the minifigure series that came in Wave 3 with Ilya to complete the scene. However, this set just screams £30. It's enjoyable to people outside of like the lelda sphere as well, but it recreates an iconic moment and does so really sleekly. So particularly big fan of that one, really like how it turned out, so let's put that one up at the top where it belongs. So far that brings us to 6 literal Firstborn Child, which I know is ironic, but don't at me on that one. I'm sure more will make it up there as we go. Next up we have the Castle Wall Defense. This is the weakest Hyrule Castle expansion. This one was designed to be your basic wall unit. I've often compared it to the stupidness of the Black Gate expansion, but the idea being is it is a simple wall function that has some explosive features, some good troops for you to army build, and can be mirrored so that you can sort of place it in multiple different combinations. It released in the same wave as the Sanctum so that you could build a whole lot of ring walls around them to actually make a full fortification, but unfortunately it's not very interesting. So again, it's going to go in orange, but not because it's flawed, just because it's boring. Maybe I should change my heading here. And there we go, that's been updated now so that we can say it's either the concept or the set is boring. But I should also mention that it's technically not boring, right? Like, it's still a set that people want to buy. It's just not like attaching my attention. Of course, I would buy like 3 or 4 of them so that I could have the castle, but I don't think it's showing the full potential of the Lego Zelda crossover. So hence it ranks slightly lower. Next up we have 28 though. This was the last mainline wave. Oh, well, it's not mainline at all. It's the last wave 2 set. This is the SDCC raffle Dark Link. They've stopped doing these now, but a couple of years ago, of course, they used to put exclusive figures in the San Diego Comic-Con for a raffle, and I decided that to celebrate like the launch of this theme, they would do the same. So this is a 028. This is the Dark Link figure. It's the only way that you can get Dark Link, and everyone would be mad about it, but that was the whole purpose of why I designed it, is so that people would be mad about it. But it is something that the company has stopped doing, so I think it's pretty unrealistic these days, and of course it's just not very interesting because it's literally just a figure in a blister pack. I really like the concept, so concept sound, but the flaws are definitely clear as day on that one down at the bottom. Next up, 29. This one is tricky. This is 29. This is the Link's Awakening Goomba Cave. This was not supposed to be in the main numbering. I can't change it now because like there are numbers either side of it. But if there's one set I could remove, it would be this one. Mainly because it's just not a set concept at all. It's a dirt wall that's designed to look like a diorama section to show off that we did already have Zelda minifigures in the form of the Goomba. I designed it to celebrate the 35th anniversary of the franchise, and I sort of prank people by making this box and this set in real life way before I started doing that with my real customs. I do love it, however it shouldn't be in the showcase, so despite my personal attraction for it, it is going down in the flawed category just because it shouldn't be a 29. It should be EX. It shouldn't be in the main system, but I don't want to leave like a gap in the showcase now, so it's a no wave identifier set, very similar to like Wave Digi, where it gets proper numbering but it isn't really included because it's definitely not a set concept. It really should be EX. Let's move on from that one though, because we've still got so many more to get through. We're only at Z030. This is the Hyrule Botanical Collection. Now, I love this one. I was saying for ages that the Botanicals line should expand into IP flowers, which they've sort of done in the form of the Piranha Plant and so on, but I think this would be absolutely awesome to have a vase of different flowers based off the herbs and flora and fauna of Hyrule. So I'm a huge fan of this concept. It gets a straight pass into I love the way it is. Not quite a literal firstborn child because it is pretty niche, and I don't think it sums up the full playset aspects that we could be looking at, but great set, especially for a nice round number. Awesome to see. Next up, we move into Wave Digi for a little second. Let's go and start with Z034. This is Big Octo Attack. This is the mid-range expansion of the Digilink starter course that includes stuff like the King of Red Lions, a couple of enemies to kill, and a play feature where you can swivel an Octo backwards and forwards to like sort of launch him into space. Fun little set, but overall nothing super special. I would put it in still great, but just for stratification's sake, let's put it, we're going to put it in the bottom as still great because it is fine. It serves its purpose as mimicking the Mario style, and while I know no one wants Digilink, of course it is still important that the set be realistic to what it was trying to be. So there you go, it did that absolutely fine. Next up is Digi. I know everyone hates him, but I really like the mimic in the starter clause. I actually really like the blocky style of the enemies. I think it doesn't suit the franchise, but in the stylistic terms, it works pretty well. Play features are fun, and of course Digilink is absolutely adorable. Inclusion of a Gleeok was also a lot of fun, so this is an easy pass into I love it the way it is. At me, don't at me, you can't change my mind. We're going to rapid fire another two here. We've got Z032 and Z033. These are the Champion Link and Zora Link power-up packs respectively. These ones were ones that you could attach the Link from the starter course in his digital form and make absolutely cursed arrangements. These ones objectively work for Mario but don't work for Link. They're both going to find themselves in the flaws because I will not remaster them because there's no need to, because they're kind of trash. But again, when viewed in the system, then they're absolutely fine. However, they're just not very interesting. There's not many parts to them. There's not really anything there's creative work in the design, but as far as the builds go, there's nothing special at all in them. So they find themselves straight in the flawed tier, which is worryingly becoming the biggest. I hope I'm going to pick up my slack soon because I seem to be being very harsh today. Although I suppose some sets have to be do that. To finish off our wave digi, we have the Z035. This is the Ganon boss battle. This is the biggest of the digi expansion, mostly centered around an NES Ganon boss battle. There's a Lizalfos in here, a couple of other features, like just like a Triforce hunt, and just more of an expansion on the existing Digilink system. This one's going to end up in Still Great, just like the other expansion, as there's a lot to like here, but it's nothing as super special. Well, it's pretty unique, so in that regard, yeah, it's pretty special, but not in the way that we want to talk about. Next up, we have the Silent Realm Trial. This is another one that I was pretty fond on back in the day, still pretty fond of it now. Nice 30 to 40 small playset. We're building up a section of terrain with a load of play features mixed in to make the Guardians come alive and chase after an exclusive negative colours Link variant. You've got the Watcher spinning around, and I like to think there was some inspiration taken from the Bee farm set back from Minecraft in 2021. But a lot to love here. I am a sucker for small playsets and other stuff like that, so it makes it straight into I love it the way it is with absolutely no questions asked. We're now of course into the Wave 3 sets as well with the purple box art, and I definitely think you'll notice a change in how set design went around this time. Next up, we're going to rank them as one. This is a 037 and it's two alternates where I changed out the Hinox color. This was my experimentation with what LEGO's doing with sets like the Fiat where they changed the color. This one of course, Hinox Beach Rampage. This is a really fun one. Lots to like here. You've got your buildable Hinox, a load of beach palm trees and beach food, crates for him to crush, a cast puzzle with a chest embedded in a rock, Loon and Roscoe, of course, not to mention the highly articulated Hinox build, as well as just a lovely beach setting. If it wasn't for the beach setting, this one would probably be fairly low. However, I really like how this one all comes together with a landscape. Again, it sort of hits the vibes of Great Sea Adventure, however not quite as well, so it makes it into I love it the way it is for sure, but no, it doesn't quite chip into that literal firstborn child section like some of you might have expected it to. Moving on up the numbers, we're getting pretty close to 40 now with Z038. This is Tattle and Tail. Yeah, we're not going to talk about this one. This was another gift with purchase designed to replicate the fairies because they're pretty iconic. I still think it's a concept that should be investigated, but I don't like it. Now again, I don't really see myself remastering it because unless I change up the concept and like turn it into a fairy in a bottle instead, like it's just really not GWP worthy. So unless they make some new parts that would make making a transparent sphere easier, this one's not getting a remaster, so it sits at the very bottom of flawed, potentially the worst set that I have no intention of upgrading, which is a pretty impressive honor when we think about it that way. Okay, let's keep going. So next up, of course, we're getting onto Z039. This is the Hyrule Castle Infiltration based off the front gatehouse from Breath of the Wild Hyrule Castle. Now this is a more interesting castle expansion. It sort of sits in front of the sanctum. You've got the gateway and the portcullis, which is something that Castle, apart from the Lion Knight's Castle, hasn't seen for a while. You get a Sky Watcher, Silver Lizalfos. There's a load of rooms with some different ammunition in the back. It's actually a reprint of the Champion's Tunic Link from the Wave 1, which is always great to get another one along with the Castle Soldier. At the gate, you don't really need to amass it. It's sort of you buy one for your castle unless you want more sub-great, but this is much better than the wall expansion from Wave 2, and as Wave 3's castle expansion, I'm tempted to put it in just still great. Yeah, it could have gone higher, but let's leave it here for now. I think this is pretty on par. Nothing superb, but pretty great nonetheless. Moving up, these are some sets that people might have actually forgotten about. This is a 040, the 3 days accessory pack. This is the second accessory pack that we did, and probably one of the last. There might be one more because this is something that, again, the company's not doing anymore. This one's based off mini games from Majora's Mask, including Gabora and Zubora from the blacksmith, and a couple of accessories for their shops, such as a sofa, teapot for Zubora, and then an anvil for Gabora, as well as the two Beaver Bros along with a bottle and some other accessories. It's pretty unrealistic. It's fine. It does the job, but we're going to put it in the flaws category because it just isn't anything special. Now, one that is special is the 041. This is one of the only 18 plus sets, although we're getting more and more as we go through. This is the third one we've seen so far, not counting Gumbo Cave, of the shield, the flowers, and now the Koga helmet. This is my one and only bust that I'm going to do for the lineup as bust. So again, slowly going out of fashion. Not yet, but they're heading that way. As I said, this one's based off Master Koga from Breath of the Wild, and with his appearance in Tears of the Kingdom, I really love how this set comes out. I'm trying to get the parts to build it in real life because I think it looks fantastic, turning the Yiga assemblage into something amazing. Falls a little bit short of literal firstborn child as most 18 plus sets would because it's not my personal preference, but it's an easy contender for love it the way it is. Again, another one I was super surprised with how it turned out given how much I was dreading making it. It's finally time to get around to the last two Divine Beasts, so let's quickly backfire through Z042, Divine Beast Var Rudania, and Z0043, Divine Beast Var Ruta. Ruta and Rudania both are a little bit more awkward to do. They're both going to end up at least a tier lower than the other two. So for the concept alone, they will make it into still great, because I really like what we did with the Divine Beasts, but they're definitely not as good as the Wave 2 ones. So they will be staying put where they should be in still great. And again, of course, these two came with the Mifa and Daruk figures as well, which is another important part of their set. But now that I've finished faffing around putting those in the right spot, let's move on. Z044, the Castle Troop Battle Pack. This is the third battle pack and the first one for the good guys, giving you the 2 Royal Guard soldiers, which were previously exclusive to the Sanctum, in a cheap and affordable set, which is a tactic that we know that LEGO Star Wars employs. Just really fond of the little details like that. You've got some hedgerows recreating the garden from Ocarina of Time, a small gazebo from Breath of the Wild and AOC, and then of course a little statue as well from Ocarina, and 2 soldiers guards as well. Pretty run-of-the-mill set, but really solid at the end of the day. It almost floors into just it's kind of boring category, but I'm gonna put it in the boring category because to me it is not as exciting. No, we're moving it up. I am incredibly indecisive, as you have learned today, and I'm fighting over basically things I created. So of course I'm going to be a little sentimental and skew higher. Still great, because I am recently getting into castle army building, and while I haven't started yet, I imagine I will have an army by the end of the year. So let's hope I don't spend too much money, but I would appreciate building a Hyrule army. Like if they gave us the parts to do that in real sets, I would 100% build it. Let's move on. Z045, this is the second minifigure series. This one was really frustrating and sort of placed in its time it was being built, was just after they dropped the CMF limit from 16 to 12, so this was supposed to be a 16 character series. They had to drop it down to 12, cutting 4 characters, which was kind of unfortunate, which has led to the fact that there will be a series 3 in the future, a long way off yet. But actually I still really like the figure lineup here. There were a couple of small problems, but this one was really where I could start to see that art style had developed. So I'm particularly still quite fond of this lineup. It's going into I love it the way it is because I think it's pretty cool, although it is definitely lower down than CMF1, just by being sort of the second pickings in a sense, but still a great set going in the top of the thing. And once again, I should remind you, now that we're probably over halfway through, that all of these sets, every single one of them, have their own video, so please go check it out. Next up, 46, we have the Escape from Lon Lon Ranch. Yeah, this is an easy, I love it the way it is, and the top of that, in another life, this is a literal firstborn child, but it's a small set. It does the playset stuff really well, so you've got different areas to explore, you've got animals, you've got a gate, you can combine 2 of them together to make sort of a full circle for the ranch for you to escape out of. Nice small but great minifigure selection, stuff like Golden Skull 2 that just elevates it, so a lot to love there. Easy candidate for I love it the way it is. Next up, 47, this is the Builder Shrine Dungeon Builder. This one is one of the weaker Dungeon Builder sets because it's more open concept. It's sort of designed around the same philosophy as stuff like the Minecraft toolboxes, as well as the Brick Builder boxes where you can do your own thing, but has a load of set builds that are super iconic or important from the Breath of the Wild shrines. How do you turn 120 dungeons into a set? You take the most elements of it, you include some cool figures and some iconic elements like the End of Shrine thing, which really elevates it. In a previous ranking, I probably would have put it very near the bottom, but I think the concept's really strong and the execution isn't bad. It's just a really awkward thing to deal with, so it makes it straight into still good. I can't believe there was a time where I thought that Wave 3 was the weakest in a sense, it was all in this category or more towards the bottom, but no, it's all skewing pretty high today, which is great to see. Although maybe not so much for this next one. We have the Tower of the Gods, the unofficial dungeon expansion for this wave. Now we already had, of course, the Builder Shrine Dungeon Builder as the one dungeon for this setup. However, Tower of Gods was supposed to be sort of in the same system, but not really. It doesn't attach, but you could always put it next door. Of course, this one opens up and expands to have 8 different rooms inside. Really complicated design that sort of makes it suffer a little bit because it means that the design language is really strong, but there's a lot of wasted pieces. It's a very big set and it shouldn't have ballooned this big. So I have my own personal qualms with it, but it does look great and it does sort of fulfill its job. So concepts really sound the flaws, but I think let's put it up here for now. Let's put it in still great. It could be better, but it's not bad by any means, and it was a really difficult challenge, so I think that should be appreciated. And also, it's my list, so I know you guys like that one as well, even though I wasn't a huge fan of it. Although, maybe I should drop it down? No. Out of all 80 sets, it's got to be in like the top 50. I'm sure it can go in still great for sure. Okay, we're getting close to the halfway mark of like the 50, that is, not halfway, we're over halfway. This is Z049, this is Yiga Clan Attacks. This is another top 10, top 5 set with 2 buildings from the Hyrule Castle Market, some great play features resulting around like the Yiga breaking things and like opening roofs to like set flames on fire. It's based off the Age of Calamity mission, the Yiga Clan Attacks. We're including figures like Cedra the Blacksmith, but it could very easily just be a Breath of the Wild like flashback set or set in the world of. I think generally speaking, a lot of the sets that sort of appeal to people outside of Zelda franchise or just have a lot of play features and fun stuff packed in, not to mention these are both dollhouses and the set's massable. It just has a really charming aesthetic to it that I think captures a unique aspect. So another one for the literal firstborn child category, nice and simply. Now next up would have been Z050. We're not going to actually drag it with a picture today, but this is Clocktown. This is another one that would be in the need to remaster column, mainly because well, it currently is being remastered because it was a cancelled set that wasn't finished. It's going to be a Master Builder Series set, very similar to Mos Eisley Cancina, Assault on Hoth, and Betrayal at Cloud City from 2018. It's currently in the works, so it is bottom tier, but I don't have anything of it to show you today. I'm hard at work at trying to fix it, so that's where that one would go. Next up, 51, the Hero of the Sea Advent Calendar. This is the second Advent Calendar that we did. I believe this was, what? So if the first Advent Calendar was Christmas of 2020, the second one would have been the Christmas of 2021. I can't believe that we went that many sets in just a year. That seems a little outlandish. Maybe there was a year in between. I really can't remember. Huh. Oh well, I guess that's something for me to work out in my own time. Either way, this one's based off the 3 Hero of the Sea games and a little bit of Minish Cap, basically anything with Toon Link in it, and then has some really nice micro builds. I particularly love Micro King of Red Lions, Micro Tower of the Gods. You've got Gossip Stones, the Pig from Outset, and a couple of other cute builds to help expand yours. Wind Waker was chosen because of sets like the Tower of the Gods that was sort of very important in Wave 3, just to sort of expand the Toon Link lineup, and had some great figures as well, stuff like the Chancellor Cole Snowman. I think that this is much more cohesive, but unfortunately it's still an Advent Calendar and it's unfortunately very niche, so it is going to make it into the still great category. Both Advent Calendars falling ever so slightly short of I love it the way it is. Let's move into Wave 4 now. This is another incomplete wave that I actually haven't even finished all of the sets for yet, so I'm going to talk you through all of them today, and then we'll move on to Tears of the Kingdom sets. So starting up with Z052, this is the Arbiter's Grounds Dungeon Expansion. This one was actually suggested by you guys. It's technically not part of Wave 4 or Wave 3, it sort of sits in the middle. It would have been like a September one-off release, like a special like random thing like they've been doing the last couple of years, but it is still a regular retail set and connects to a Dungeon Builder system, maybe even a store exclusive like a Target or something. Some great figures in here, mostly focusing on the undead. It was great to get this sort of sandy palette into the Dungeon Builder system. It was sort of like that kind of dungeon that we hadn't done up until this point, although then the Spirit Temple would immediately then go step on its toes. Either way, a lot of fun play features here, like the Buzzsaw, like the Skullkins, and the like Arbiter's Ground spinning feature on an Ninjago spinner. People forget that is a thing. I forget that I put that feature in here. But it's also showing off the brand new green box art as well. A lot to like here. I'm tempted to put it in the way I love the way it is. Oh dear, we're getting wonky now. But no, I don't think it's quite as strong as that. Let's put it down in the still great category. It's pretty high still great, but it is just still great, I think. Yeah, I think that suits it pretty well. Next up we have Take Back the Sea, another pretty like dramatic inclusion. I've seen some people call this their favourite custom. I hate to disagree, but I think it's a little bulky, and this platform, as much as I really love the large explosion feature, and I think that is something that if they did a set like this, it would absolutely have to include, based off when of course you throw the remote bombs at it in Age of Calamity, or would just destroy like a small encampment. The fact that you can like explode it all and send the figures everywhere, of which the figures are also another great part in this set. It definitely deserves its status as one of the biggest customs, and I really like the interpretation of Lurelin alongside other stuff, so it's an easy category for I love it the way it is, falling about 3 or 4 sets short of literal firstborn child, for sure. So no, really appreciate where that one goes. Thank you guys for making me do Lurelin. I wasn't going to do Lurelin. Then I had this cool idea for it, because I was like, oh, they want me to see Lurelin, so I guess I'll see if I can think of anything. And then I thought of the idea of combining it with the monster form, and I really love how it came out. Just not quite good enough to be firstborn child. The standards up here are pretty high, right? You've got to like be something I love, but also exude Lego, like essence of Lego. So pretty high criteria for top tier. But next up, moving on again, this is a 054. This is the Salvatore Sploosh Kaboom polybag. It's a polybag that basically is recreating the mini game that he has in Wind Waker. I particularly like this for like the figure and having these stickers on the 2x3 tiles which you can hold up and like look through so that you can see his face. There is little cardboard cutouts. I think that's really sweet. Little Easter egg in this one as well. You've got a quate to shoot out of the cannons, but overall it is incredibly simple. Like, I love the concept. I really want to put it in Still Great, give the polybag some love, but can I? Ooh, it's like saying, is it better than Castle Wall or Spirit? I mean, it's not better than Spirit Train, is it? Maybe Spirit Train should have moved up. I don't know. I feel like I've been mean to Spirit Train. Just know that in my heart of hearts, this isn't Still Great, but we're going to put it in Flawed because I can't really put polybag any higher, can I? We're going to skip over a couple of numbers because there are some sets that aren't finished and aren't revealed yet, so we're going to move on to Z056. This is the Volvagia boss battle. This is based off the Fire Temple. It's another dungeon builder module, a boss module, including, of course, a buildable Volvagia with a custom head, Fire Tunic Link, and then this really elaborate play feature to simulate, like, bopping his heads. It's a lot of fun. It's a little over-engineered, I think, a little complex, but I do like having it as a dungeon model. I think the concept's really sound. So this one is going to be a candidate for Still Great, specifically saved by the Volvagia build. If the Volvagia build was trash, it would have been down. But I really like this one. I think it has a lot of fun in it. I just think the function could be better, but well, there's always room for improvements. We're going to move on to 57. This is Ancient Machines Battle Pack. I really like this one. This is based off, of course, the Linear Mining Facility stuff from Skyward Sword. Includes a like flip around feature for the BMOS between its like decayed past state and its present state, and of course you can activate that with time shift zones. You've got a buildable sort of Armos from the game, which has the 2 phases, and that's where most of the pieces are sunk. A minecart. I'm particularly fond of the BMOS build. You've also got like the I've completely forgotten their name, Centrobes, as well as Technoblin, which will be making another appearance in Wave 4. I may really like it, but unfortunately it does not compare to some of the other sets, so it is going to make it into the very top of Still Great again. Like, if I can't put Arbiter's Grounds up, I can't really put the technical, the Ancient Machines Battle Pack up any higher. Another one for the middle of the road, Spirit Temple Gauntlet. Again, very glad to finally have a version of this out here. Again, another Dungeon Builder expansion. I mean, technically speaking, Ancient Machines also has a dungeon, like, module in the form of the BMOS, but no one talks about that. Anyway, Spirit Temple Gauntlet recreates the like Iron Knuckle fight very nicely. Very different to the West Tower one. It's not really focused, and obviously mine's a minifigure as well. Gives us a Child Link and a lever. It's definitely supposed to be deserty, but not quite. This was originally supposed to have an Anubis in it as well, but I didn't do that. And then Kataki and Kume in their like gremlin body forms. You've got a couple of nice functions here, like a spinning like blade trap, as well as like a door that can only be opened if you turn the like the snake head, but beyond that, oh, and a wall that you can walk through with Lens of Truth. But again, middle of the road, still great. Another good dungeon builder set, but like no more special than something like Gomez Lair, which I'm glad is in the sort of the same tier here. Although again, it's tempting to move it up, but that's nostalgia talking, and we're not here to talk about nostalgia, he says after putting Fire Sanctuary and Maz Kosher up in Literal Firstborn Child. Next up, Lockup Breakout. This is a really interesting castle expansion set that's sort of built into the rockwork, taking more of those Breath of the Wild design cues to elevate your rock walls. Now, the interesting thing about this one is that to combine it with other castle sets, you either have to buy 2 of them and mirror them, or this has to be an end of a wall run or connect to the sanctum because of that raised up level. But that allows us to have like a breakout feature for all the skeletons. You've got a really cute baby Stalnox in here, which I know doesn't look accurate, but it's so cheapified Lego. I really love it. You've got Old Pot Link and a couple of other features, as I mentioned, like breakout. You can like lower some food into the prison, and of course this is really expandable with your own Lelda collection, because if you have other Lelda figures like alive monsters and other things, you can put them in. But again, pretty standard castle expansion, but one of my favorites of the newer system. Like, dare I say, I kind of want to put it in. I love it the way it is. Like, there's not much I'd change about it. I think it's a really strong Wave 4 set. Yeah. There we go. Number 61 is Freeing Nature, and this is my first attempt on the dragons from Breath of the Wild. Now, the dragons are going to get a little bit controversial coming up because I can't reveal it today, but there's some more dragons coming. In fact, we're going to end up with quite a lot of worm-like creatures by the end of Wave 4, and it's accidental. I'll explain it in the future. I may have to make a video about the worms in the canon because you know it's messy with the timelines. But anyway, this is Freeing Nature. This set is mostly around Nature and some trees and a goddess statue of Mount Lanayru from Breath of the Wild. Flawed. Incredibly flawed. Too many parts. Too big. Not enough Malice play features. Kind of boring. I kind of don't like it, and I kind of want to remaster it, but not badly enough to actually remaster it because I have made so many worms. I am pleased that I was able to bring my own unique spin to it, and I am pretty pleased with Nature's head, at least as far as like the head of a sentient dragon lord can go. But let's keep moving. We've got to speed up. Next up is Z062. This is the Battle for the Sacred Flame. This is the Coloctos dungeon expansion. There's a lot of nostalgia attached to this for bringing Coloctos back into the LEGO realm after like that 2012 model being the only one. This is also the home of the updated Wave 4 Link as well as the whip build. You've got Cursed Koblins, a couple of rooms to rearrange, and of course Coloctos can gain his legs and spin his arms. There's actually a really fun feature with his like beating heart like chest thing to make that explode and get a heart container. Those are the kind of things I love doing the most. So this one is an easy contender for I love it the way it is. I wouldn't change very much about this one at all. And the last set we have for Wave 4 for now, although there is one mystery one, is Gerudo Fortress Infiltration. This is a new addition to the literal firstborn child. Okay, like visually it's a little boring, but it is based off an N64 model. I trust that LEGO would like change some things, but like the play in here and the modularity as well is what excels in this one for me, and I really appreciate like being able to rearrange the room so you can either have the realistic fortress or the not so realistic fortress. It's a big set with some great figures. You've got the jail cell, some fun like platforming stuff for Violink in his hookshot, and it does sort of capture the essence of that range. So it is our newest addition and currently our only Wave 4 addition to literal firstborn child. There is one more Wave 4 set that's currently finished that you won't be seeing for utterly ages, and I'm not going to reveal what it is. It's a D2C, and it will be making its way into I Love It the Way It Is, despite coming in massively over budget and overpriced. Like it is now the second biggest custom set. So look forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Leave your guesses down below. Now before we get on to ranking the Wave 4 sets and seeing how much this is going to shake things up, sorry, the Wave 8 sets, the Tears of the Kingdom sets, let's quickly run through the EX sets, so like the extras. Let's get these ones out of the way first. We have the two Tears of the Kingdom ones being 67, Talos Takedown. This is going to be a Wave 6 set eventually. It will go under slight redesigns. I'm not going to talk about it. It's a Battle Talos. It goes in I Love It the Way It Is. I'm particularly fond of it. I think it's very cool. Next up is Calamity Cave Collapse, which is the non-canon Tears of the Kingdom trailer set, and this is EX009. Because none of what happened in this set is basically canon apart from Zelda Falling. There's a lot of design elements I have. It's going in still great, but it is an EX set, which does harm it as well. And if you want to learn more about that, of course, you can watch the video on it. There were actually some other one-off sets. Most of these are April Fools. This one, though, EX002, is the Hyrule Champion Movie Maker. This was designed for our good friend Hylian Briggs for his animation, and this has nothing to do with the quality of the animation, but unfortunately the set does not quite hold up. I really like the concept of taking the Movie Maker sets from when they were releasing live-action theatrical movies and sort of building in those along with all these fun accessories and like movable components to sort of simulate what it's like to be a stop-motion artist or just like a brick filmer in general. So I really love the concept here, but it's just going to go in still great because I think it fits the brief, but it's not very realistic, is it? They're never actually going to do something like this, unfortunately. As I'm sure everyone will feel. Another quick three to rapid fire now. We have the 3 April Fool's Day knockoff mechs, including Stinkus' Blue Jet, Imp's Ninja Mech, and Smelter's Sacred Gun Mech. These three, of course, made by Ego Nintendo under Hexane Thermoplastic's Legend of Lonk builds. And these three are utterly hilarious. Now, for the memes, we are going to put Stinkus' Blue Jet, which is so goofy, as well as Smelter's Sacred Gun Mech. For the name alone, we're going to put them in I Love It the Way It Is, and Imp's Ninja Mech is going to go in still great. They're all supposed to be parodies, but ironically they do look about the same level of quality that a knockoff company could produce. So take it with a grain of salt. I don't actually think they're that good, but we're going to put them up here because the naming convention is utterly hilarious and I will never get over it. Then the next year, the next April Fool's sets were the 4 Duplo sets, so let's rapid fire through these. We have the Windfish Duplo build, yeah, this one's going in flawed. I think it's cursed in a funny way. We have Link's bird. This one's going in still great. I actually really love the bird, the build for a loft ring, and Skyward Sword Duplo Link is adorable. Then we have the two Breath of the Wild ones. We have the Korok adventure. I genuinely cannot remember what this one was called for the life of me. Regardless, it's fine. It can go down here just because it's kind of boring and it's a Duplo set. And then another one for still great being the Guardian Rattle, being just this utter meme on a 90s toy rattle, but it's a laser death octopus instead of a happy smiley one. So a little bit morbid, but just for the joke alone, let's put it in still great. And with those out of the way, we can move on to our last section of today's video, which is of course ranking the Tears of the Kingdom sets. And these are of course the new ones that you've probably both been excited to see. So sorry for making you wait for ages. This is Z069. This is the Arakuda Ambush based off the Rito quest line. Again, all of these have videos. This one's pretty cool. I like the bouncy feature. I like that you can buy more than one of them, and including constructs was fun. We've got an Arakuda and a nice build down the bottom. I'm tempted to say like it's like the top of still great. Like it's a really solid set, but I don't think it's like any like next level like amazingness. Zora's Domain Muckrock Menace was based off the Zora quest line. This was sort of like a vertical slab of terrain. I really do like the concept here a lot. I worry a little bit about the execution sometimes, but then again, you could say that about half these sets. So this one is going to make it into the I love it the way it is. And let's hope that not too much recency bias affects it. But that one had a lot of play features packed into a cube, and I really like capturing the three-dimensionality, which is something you can really only do with Tears of the Kingdom because of like having the sky, surface, and depth. But also, based off inspired by, not based off, I take my own inspiration, but from the Avatar sets, which did something very similar with height for like the Pandora Floater Mountains. So very, very cool. I love it the way it is. Depths Defying Master Koga was the small, like 10-15 pound set. Some great figures in here with some nice small builds. This is very Tears of the Kingdom, and it's based off one of the most iconic moments in the game. Again, it's a small set. I would be tempted to put it in up here, but I'm going to put it in still great because I don't think it's bringing anything huge to the table. But let me just, again, clarify that it's important for sets to not necessarily bring anything special to the table because they're supposed to just like sort of bulk out what's going on, right? Like that's how this kind of stuff works. But also, yeah, and it's also just important to have small sets. And again, anything that's in this still great category is still stuff that I'd either buy one or maybe two of. It's still absolutely love, right? Remember, even these Need a Remaster stuff, I still have faith in as a concept and want to see it, and I'm proud of everything I make and whatever. So we're just being harsh for like the fun of it. Frox Mining Encounter is another still great straight of the road. I really like the buildable Frox, and again, I'm still completely baffled by like my weird ability to do buildable characters, like despite absolutely dreading them when I start making them. I'm still just baffled to this day how I managed to make them, but it's a depths focus set. It's pretty cool. I think there's another depth set in part 2. I will be hinting at the part 2 ones that are going in the I love the way it is set. King Gleeok Clash is a buildable monster, is going to go into I love the way it looks. I think this is absolutely great playset Gleeok interpretation, and I would not change anything about it. I love the fabric wings, the 3 heads, and the posability I got in, along with the whip tail and the wing flapping feature. Covers everything it needs to for a proper Zelda dragon, I think. And I really like that it looks right. I know obviously there are larger ones that are scaled better and so on, etc, right? You could go on for days, but that's not the point. I just think it suits the goal and the brief that I gave it for that set. Next up is Great Sky Island. I shouldn't have to talk about this one. The reason I did not rank the sets this time, like 1 to 89 or whatever, is because of this set. I could not decide whether this set was worthy of stealing top spot from Great Sky Island. It is an easy literal firstborn child. It is potentially one of the ones that feels the most like a Lego set, regardless of anything you might think. So it's an easy pick, and if you don't know why, go watch the video. It's a very cool one. I absolutely love what we were able to include in that set. And that brings our literal firstborn child count to 9. Next up, we have Lookout Landing. Do I dare do it? Do I dare upset you all? I think I do. Ooh, right down there. This is a lot of people's favorites. Now, if I'm being serious, it probably should be still great, but there are just too many flaws. No, still great. There's a lot to love with this one. Of course, it opens up, but its main gimmick and the reason it's so big is to be built around the whole idea of the Secret Cave Discovery set, which is supposed to sit underneath it. Obviously, these two sets are combined, and I've talked at length about my problems with this play feature and why I don't think it works as well as people might think it does. But regardless of that, Secret Cave Discovery is the one that suffers more from it. Like Lookout Landing sort of gets off scot-free, but these caves are a little bit empty. I worry about this one selling. It's too expensive in comparison. Like Lookout Landing would sell because of the location status, but Secret Cave Discovery is unfortunately the one that takes the fall for Lookout Landing's like exceeding grace. Both great sets on their own. If you're not trying to make custom sets, they are great mocks, but I'm trying to make custom sets, so like it doesn't count. Anyway, let's not go down that road again. As we get very close to the end now, we have Z077. This is the Ultron Creativity Toolbox. This one gives you all Zono devices along with some like wooden like abilities and things. And I think this is the most important Tears of the Kingdom set. Whether it's the best is another question, but it's an easy, I love the way it is because it is just so necessary and so important to the play loop for that game that it is it is undeniably so important that that gets made as a set if they did play sets. So it goes in. I love the way it is, and if you want to know why, watch the video. Z078, this is Legendary Stormwind Arc. This is the Skyboat and Colgera, and yeah, no, I love this. It's not quite literal Firstborn Child. I think it has a couple of little problems that hold it back, but I would go crazy over a set like this and getting Colgera and these beautiful figures through the Frostbite armor, and having like the paddle movement as well as all these secret rooms, as well as just being an ode to pirate sets of the 2010s, like the Black Pearl and Queen Anne's Revenge. It's a great set. I'm really pleased with that one. And then actually just moving into the second half of the wave, the only one you've seen so far is Bedrock Bistro Trouble. This is 84, and of course this one is okay. It's still great. This one includes the bistro. It's again important to have these sets that aren't main story focused, and I really love the world building that it provides. I think the cave's a little ugly, and I missed a couple of bits, but it has been fixed since then, so I'm going to put it in still great. And then our last one to today is actually not a Tears set. It's 87. This was this year's Christmas set, Cozy Campfire Christmas. It's sweet enough, right? It's cute. It's in the name. It's cozy. It's an easy, still great. I don't have to talk about it, and I don't have to justify it. Now, that is the completed tier list as far as the images go. Now let me just give you a couple of teasers. So of the ones still left to come, we actually do have a couple of interesting ones. Firstly, there is a literal Firstborn Child still to come. That's right, you heard it here first. One of the 7 sets that you have not seen from Tears of the Kingdom Wave 8 Part 2 is a literal Firstborn Child. So there is another new addition to our top 10, making it 10 out of the soon-to-be 90 sets to make it into that top tier. That's probably the biggest mystery, and maybe some of you would like to guess which one of the remaining sets that's going to be. Then as for the others, we have a set known as Hive that is going to be in the still great category. That again doesn't mean it's bad. We have a set called Lost that is weirdly making it into the I love the way it is category, even though I did not enjoy making it. We have a set known as T making it into the still great category and breaking the polybag floor and ceiling with a polybag entering that new tier. Then we have one called, I believe it's called Hideout or Base. I think it's called Base. I think I've just spoiled it, but that's also making it into I love the way it is, just because of how it looks. We have another one called Battle. I want to say Battle, and that is going to make it into still great. And then we have a last one called Jewel, and that's another I love the way it is. We've got some very exciting ones coming up. Now, I hope it's not recency bias, but a lot of the Wave 8 sets did rank pretty highly, so that's pretty cool. I think we only had like 1 down here, that's like 6 here. No, they're middle of the pack, right? Like they're the same as anything else. Now, most interestingly, out of this top selection, when we finally do it, and obviously we haven't finished Wave 4, and like one of the Wave 8 ones is missing, but Wave 2 sweeps here for literal Firstborn Children. Maybe I did literally peak, like 4 out of the 10 of them are Wave 2, which is really interesting. But anyway, I'm not going to talk for any longer because I've talked for long enough. That's an hour. Whew. If anyone's actually watched it, that would be pretty impressive. But let me know your thoughts down below, as well as if you change anything and what your favorite and least favorite, most importantly, least favorite custom set is down below. Thank you very much for your patience and time with me. And as I promised, there will be a new custom set very soon. There's a special video coming up. It's that time of year, and of course a castle update before the end of April. I promise on all 3 of those. But have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye.